Hello and welcome from Budapest. This is Hungary Reports from Public Media M1, bringing you the latest news from Hungary and the Carpathian Basin in English. I'm Mathias. Thanks for tuning in. The second wave of COVID-19 has hit Hungary. That's what Hungary's chief medical officer told Public Media's M1 TV station. Dr. Cecilia Müller said that a new record has been set in Hungary, with 365 people testing positive for COVID-19 on Tuesday alone.
The courtyard of this kindergarten in Kőbánya is empty. The institution was closed because one of its employees tested positive for the coronavirus. The Erzsébet Park kindergarten in Tóth Komlós did open its gates on Wednesday morning. However, all the children were sent home after just a few hours, when it turned out that a teacher there had received a positive COVID-19 test. The person had symptoms and therefore got tested. The number of COVID patients also reached a record high in Hungary, with 365 people testing positive for coronavirus. Restrictions are continuously being introduced in healthcare and social service institutions due to the spread of the virus. Only after having their temperature taken and disinfecting their hands can people enter the medical center in Sopron. Furthermore, it's mandatory to wear a mask. Visitors get checked outdoors in front of the entrance. Besides hygiene regulations, a partial visiting ban was also introduced in the institution in an effort to stop the spread of the virus. It was necessary for the safety of our patients, the nursing director of the hospital said. In Debrecen, it will be mandatory to wear a mask at cultural and sporting events, and not just indoors, but outdoors as well. Whether it be during a play, even a children's one, or visiting a museum, in an enclosed area, anywhere indoors in Debrecen, wearing a mask is mandatory, the mayor of the city said. The chief medical officer called for discipline and following epidemiological rules, keeping 1.5 meters distance, regularly disinfecting hands and wearing a mask in enclosed areas or on public transportation continue to be very important.
And Hungary's Foreign Affairs and Trade Minister said that measures must be taken to prevent the Hungarian economy from being partially shut down. Péter Szijjártó pointed out that one of the best means to achieve that is the implementation of restrictive border measures for entering the country.
Non-Hungarian citizens will not be allowed into the country, and Hungarians returning from abroad will have to present 2 negative PCR tests if they want to avoid the 2-week official home quarantine. The trade of goods will not be affected by this restriction. Meanwhile, Czechs, Poles and Slovakians who have previously booked accommodation in Hungary will be allowed to enter Hungary with a negative test taken not longer than 5 days before. Hungarians returning home from the Czech Republic, Poland and Slovakia will also need just 1 negative test to avoid home quarantine. The European Commission disapproves this exception. The spokesperson of the Commission, Christian Wiegand, announced that Didier Reynders, Commissioner for Justice, and Ylva Johansson, Commissioner for Home Affairs, will turn to the Hungarian government concerning the new travel restrictions. According to the spokesperson, Hungary cannot discriminate among EU citizens. Christian Wiegand added, EU regulations concerning the free movement of EU citizens is clear, and this has to be followed by all member states. Hungary succeeded in the fight against the first wave of the pandemic, said Péter Szijjártó. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade added, we have to remain cautious. The newly introduced travel restrictions at the border aren't arbitrary and haphazard, the minister said. In Brussels, a unified proposal is being outlined which would harmonize member states' regulations made in connection with the coronavirus pandemic. Similarly to Hungary, other EU member states have introduced travel restrictions as well. The proposal is expected to be made public within a few days as a recommendation of the European Council.
Almost 1 million people in Hungary received some form of state support during the pandemic. That's what the State Secretary for Employment Policy told Public Media's M1 station. The government has helped altogether 55,000 companies, mainly those in tourism, processing and trade. Besides that, the government also helped out thousands of people with its programs of job protection, research and development, and subsidizing salaries to help create jobs. In Romania, the city with the largest number of Hungarian minority members is getting ready for local elections on September 27th. Hungarian parties and organizations in Marosvásárhely, or Târgu Mureș in Romanian, have put together a joint cooperative charter and will enter the elections on a unified front. That includes the president of the county council, Ferenc Péter, as well as independent mayoral candidate Zoltán Sós and 11 municipal mayors, who all signed a development plan for the region. The candidates plan to establish economic and trade hubs there and will also further develop the existing road network. County Council President Péter believes that the region has been neglected a lot over the years because current city leaders have stymied cooperation.
Mi készen vagyunk a munkára.
We are ready to ensure the development of Maros County, Marosvásárhely and its greater metropolitan area. For that, the mayoral team is ready, as are the mayoral candidate, Zoltán Sós, and myself as the president of the county council. We want to implement projects together, which will not only help Marosvásárhely, but also all the inhabitants of the greater metropolitan area and the corresponding municipal governments.
The Union of Hungarian Civil Servants has called for a 3-day strike starting today. Its president, Boros Péterné, said that their main demand is to ensure the financing of municipalities, which would protect jobs. They would also like to see a budget that finances measures to combat the pandemic, and also they'd like their members to get pay raises. One of the most important awards in Hungary, the Hungarian Order of Merit Cross with Star, was given to the president of the Austrian Parliament, Wolfgang Sobotka. He got it for his efforts in strengthening Austrian-Hungarian relations, as well as for opposing open borders and limitless migration. The Hungarian President of Parliament, László Kövér, presented the award to Sobotka in Vienna and said that Sobotka helped ensure that both countries would handle well the migration crisis. The fountain of King Mathias has been renovated at Buda Castle. The structure, which was built more than 100 years ago, had survived 2 world wars and is part of an overall refurbishing of the city's most important monuments.
Experts are continuously working on the southern connecting wing of the Buda Castle. The fountain of King Mathias has been renewed completely and is now fully functional again in the Hunyadi courtyard. Mathias Stróbó, the grandchild of Alajos Stróbó, the sculptor who created the fountain sculpture, said the Mathias well, inaugurated in 1904, was his grandfather's favorite work, which he also regarded as one of his masterpieces. With the Mathias fountain being located at the castle, it is one of Budapest's most photographed and admired pieces of art. Now that it has been wonderfully renovated with its fountain running and the monument also supposedly lit up in the evenings, even more people will admire it, Mathias Stróbó said. The fountain depicts a block of rocks where 5 springs originate from. At the top, King Mathias can be seen in hunting clothes, with the hunted stag at his feet and his companions, the hound dogs. Government Commissioner Gergely Fodor pointed out that renovations in the Buda Castle area will continue. Next year we will finish the renewal of the fishing children's fountain on the Danube terrace of the castle, and soon the long overdue reconstructions of the palace of Archduke Joseph, the National Defense Headquarters, and the Red Cross Headquarters will also commence. And last but not least, the total reconstruction of the St. George Square will also take place, the commissioner said. Fodor added, a new chapter has started the past few years in the history of Buda Castle. The goal is to ensure the area regains the prestige of a World Heritage Site.
Hungary recorded a record high number of 365 positive COVID-19 cases on Tuesday. Hungary's chief medical officer, Dr. Cecilia Müller, said that the first wave of the pandemic mainly affected elderly people, but now in this second wave, it's young people. 2/3 of those asked in a national poll in Hungary support the restarting of schools in the country. The poll was conducted by the Nézőpont Institute. 78% said it was a good decision to reopen learning institutions and conduct regular teaching again. Even 2/3 of those who vote for opposition parties supported the move. And 95% of respondents said they approved students getting textbooks for free. And that's all for now from Hungary Reports, but we're back live again every night at about 11:20 p.m. Central European Time, and you can always catch us in repeats and online as well. Please stay tuned now if you can. We also have programs in German, Russian, and Chinese. Thanks very much for watching, and viszontlátásra!